So, Chris Hughton, gone. If reports are to be believed, Tim Sherwood, almost gone. But he released a statement this afternoon saying it's business as usual with Spurs. In the last hour, though, Spurs themselves released a statement which said they will review the situation at the end of the season. Until then, it is all speculation, Gary. What do you make of the situation at White Hart Lane?
Well, it seems a strange day for it to all come out. Day of a game, not quite sure who that suits. If you look at the actual season, Andreas Villas-Boas and Tim Sherwood have both had equal games. They've both probably given equal performances, barring a point. So pretty much, I think the board at Tottenham are sort of getting an even performance. I thought Andreas Villas-Boas, I think we said a few months ago, was fortunate to get the job and then should have been allowed to complete his work. Tim Sherwood, probably as youth team coach, fortunate to get the job and probably isn't going to be allowed to see it out. Look, are we surprised? No, because it's where football managers going. But I just wonder what remit that managers are given nowadays when they get the job. Is it quite clear? You must get into the Champions League. Because I think that means everything. If Tim Sherwood's been given the job with a clear understanding that if you don't get into the Champions League, then you will lose your job, then he knew what he was getting into. If he was told he was going to get 18 months, he was going to have time to settle these new players in. They've lost a world-class player last summer. Then that would be different. But I would probably imagine that he was told he needed to get into the Champions League. At this moment in time, it looks like he's not going to do it.
And if the reports are correct, which we need to keep saying, Jamie, would you be surprised?
No. As I said, the big thing is what was said when he was given the job. But I think anyone outside of Tottenham, as ourselves, you're looking at it, you think, Tim Sherwood will be there for 12 months. OK, they give him an 18-month contract, but I don't think anyone really thought he would be there next season. I didn't. I think he was always, a stopgap until the end of the season, and there's been lots of talk in the press of different managers coming. I think Tim Sherwood has publicly said he's been unhappy with that, but you can maybe be unhappy with Daniel Levy or Baldini in the background, but to be fair to those people also, they've given him a job in terms of at the top level. How many managers' first job is at a club like Tottenham Hotspur trying to get into the Champions League? So he has been given a good job. I think he's done a decent job, as you mentioned, similar to Villas-Boas. Hasn't done a bad job, hasn't done a great job, what you'd expect from Tottenham. And when you hear people getting frustrated at Tottenham, talking about Champions League, Tottenham are where you'd always expect Tottenham to be. When I was a kid, when I was playing against them, top six.
Even having spent all that money?
Yeah, but people were talking about, spending this money and then just even talk at the start of the season of going for a title or maybe even challenging. And I was trying not to be disrespectful to Tottenham here, but I never think of Tottenham as that type of team. Historically, it's such a long time since they were successful. If they get in the top four, I think it is a great season for them. I don't think they're going to do it this season. Harry Redknapp's the only one who's done it of late. So they are where you'd always expect Tottenham to be, challenging the top four, but probably not quite getting in there.
And you say the fans unhappy, Gary. Who should they be unhappy with then? The manager, or do they go up to the owner, the chairman, Daniel Levy, director of football?
The only people responsible at football club has got to be the owner. They employ everybody underneath them. So, Levy at the start of the season was hailed as some sort of genius, the way in which he held off on the sale of Bale and got, I don't know how much, 100 million for him. He got his players in first, did his business well. To be fair, when the players were all sort of lined up there, I was never quite sure. It looked like a blancmange to me. I couldn't quite work out what they'd signed. It just looked like a lot of number 10s, few on the wide. Players that I didn't know, players that you think are going to be 12 months needed to settle into the Premier League. I think the person who picks up the job next season will get a better Paulinho, they'll get a better Lamela, they'll get a better Eriksen. Capue's been in and out, so I think they're going to get a better service out of those players next season, because we've seen before it takes some time for players to settle into the Premier League. So the idea that they were going to sort of replace Gareth Bale, who was part of a very settled team for a couple of years with Tottenham, and then all of a sudden sort of stick 6 players in and think they were all just going to settle in. That's why I think Villas-Boas should have been given till the end of the season, just to sort of work with those, continue with those players. Baldini's dumped a load of players on him, so I would imagine at the moment there's a lot of blame game going on. Baldini will be blaming Sherwood and Villas-Boas, saying that basically they're not getting the best out of these fantastic players that have signed. Levy will be stuck there in the middle, taking either side between his head coach or his sporting director. And to be fair, that's where I think you've got confusion, and that's what looks like it's happening at the moment.
And we'll come to Norwich in a second and Chris Hughton, but the fact is it hasn't been a great 24 hours, this, for British managers.
No, I don't think it has. I don't think that... like I said, I think it all comes... If you bring it back to business side of things, what remit are you given? What's the premise you take a job under? I think that's what a manager has to go into and think about it. If Tim Sherwood knew what he was getting into, then he shouldn't be surprised. I think that all managers now understand that it's a cutthroat game, you're not going to get much time in the game. But the fact of the matter is, I'm never going to sit here and agree. Chris Hughton's slightly different. He's been given a couple of seasons. know, the idea that Villas-Boas was given whatever he was given, and now Tim Sherwood gets given 5-6 months, that's no time to be able to sort of connect and build a team or work with players. I just don't understand it, where football's going. We're sort of becoming a little bit like what we used to laugh at 15, 20 years ago in sort of Italian football.
For more great videos, subscribe to Sky Sports YouTube by clicking here. There.
In that top right-hand corner.
Just there. Is it
Just
there?
I think so.